This might be your one and only chance to have someone that will actually take the time to really care about you. Because for whatever reason, she's sticking around. So I think you need to try to do your best to hold on to her. Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host, Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, first, I would like to thank everybody that sent me all those sweet messages in the comments of my last video, talking about how much you miss my videos, praying for my grandmother, praying for my family. I really appreciate it, and I want y'all to believe that I really missed y'all as well. And that, seeing all that just kind of like put me in my feels. Okay, that was so sweet. And also shout out to the people that sent cash apps. I did not ask for that, but I really appreciate it because, you know, when I haven't been doing my videos, you know, it's been a little struggle. So that was really a blessing, and really thank you so much to those people that did that, because you did not have to do that. And I know you went out of your way to find my cash app because I didn't even have it up. So I really appreciate it. I just want to make sure I said thank you. So now let's talk about the episode, y'all. This episode was good. Maybe because of the end. The end of the episode like really got me. That dinner scene is like gonna go in Married at First Sight history. Like, it wasn't the best dinner scene. It didn't quite top Chris trying to fight. Who was he trying to fight? Eric. It didn't top that one. But when I tell you this dinner was so messy and shady, everybody had something to say about everybody else's relationship. People trying to be marriage counselors. You know, just giving their unsolicited opinion. The only part that really upset me was when they sent in the mariachi band. I'm like, now y'all do all this stuff to create drama, and here we have some natural drama created, and y'all sending a mariachi band to stop it. Like, that threw me off. But then again, when I think about it, it was about to get heated because Stacia was like running down them questions, and I would have to think, since Miguel feels some type of way about Nate, he was gonna retaliate with some information or with how he felt about Nate, and it might have got a little rowdy. So maybe that was for the best. Y'all actually did something to de-escalate for once. Maybe I should be giving props, you know, but the messy side of me just wanted to see what was going to happen. So let's start with Kristen and Mitch. Kristen is so sweet and selfless. Whenever she was sitting down with the women, she let everyone go first because she didn't want to like take away from their moment. And I thought that was so sweet. So when it was finally her turn to spill the tea, she was still protecting Mitch, and she didn't want the women to demonize him because she wants it to work. So she was like, okay, we're still going to be Team Mitch by the end of this. And I'm just like, I'm one of those friends that be itching to demonize. You know, I'm kind of Alexis in this situation. Like, I'll be Team Mitch until he just disrespects you to the point of no return, okay? Even though I would love for that to be a bashing session, I respect it because, you know, it's everybody else's relationship is low-key questionable. We're going to find that out at the end anyway. So she did what you're supposed to do as a wife if you're going to stick around. She told them about him, saying that he wasn't attracted to her. But then that night, he pounced on her like a tiger. Girl, he pounced on you like a tiger? What does that mean? He pounced on you like a tiger. Well, he did say it had been a while. Everybody was shook, though. They were like, what? And then she was like, well, why are you all of a sudden attracted? And he said he was attracted to the way she handled being rejected. Like, what type of nagging? Like, I just think that's ridiculous of Mitch to say. Like, you really, does that make sense in your mind? But what I did like is that Kristen denied him, and she flipped the switch and said, I make the rules now. And it's like, I'm so glad she set boundaries and is taking control of the situation, because Mitch don't know what he doing. So then later on, she had a one-on-one with Alexis, and Alexis tells her, well, since you want to stick around, maybe he has to come to his senses the way that she did when it comes to Justin. You know, he reached out to her on the app, and she looked at him and was like, oh, he's too skinny, you know, he's too nice, I don't want a guy like that. But now that she's been matched up with him, she realizes maybe she really does want to be with him, and maybe Mitch has to come to that conclusion. Later on, they discussed everything, and he admitted that he was throwing extremely mixed signals, you think, and he just wants her to continue to hold him accountable. And, you know, they had a cuddle session all night, and yeah, Mitch does seem like he be in his own head, and it does seem like it was a little bit of self-sabotage in there. Because Kristen is beautiful. Like, I don't know. I think Mitch would be lucky to have someone like Kristen, who seems like she would be a great wife. You know what I'm saying? She really wants to be married. She's fully committed. She's trying with you. Because a lot of people would have took one look at that Band-Aid on your head and your nasty attitude and been ready to go. So you might want to embrace Kristen. This might be your one and only chance to have someone that will actually take the time to really care about you. Because for whatever reason, she's sticking around. So I think you need to try to do your best to hold on to her. Now, that's my advice to you, Mitch. Even though you don't deserve her. Let's go ahead and talk about Justin and Alexis. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. I softened up to Alexis this episode. I don't know what it was, but last week I just did not believe that she truly cared about this man. I thought she was here just to, you know, do the 8 weeks and leave. But I don't know if Justin is actually winning her over, or maybe I was reading her wrong. So they're having a conversation about finances, basically, and she questions him on whether her making more than him will affect his ego. And he's like, no, because it's going to be in the same account. And she's like, same account? And he was like, well, oh yeah, the same account, but we're also going to have separate accounts. And she's like, okay, we'll discuss this later. It's like, girl, you might need to talk to Stacia and get you a posting up too. Even though I don't think Justin will like try to take half, but he does get very sensitive and emotional. So child, he might if he get mad enough. You never know. They keep having crazy, weird things happen to them. Like when they were sitting down talking on their boat, it just flipped over on them. I don't know. They've had a couple of things happen that's been like not a good sign. Like at their wedding, they did the whole braid thing, but by the time they walked down the aisle, the braid was completely undone, and a lot of people pointed that out. And I was like, I don't know, child. Like, I wish them the best, but I don't know. So then we get to the dinner, and you would think that Justin and Alexis are relationship gurus. Like, just because y'all are the most lovey-dovey ones at the table doesn't mean you can hand out advice left and right. I mean, they were sitting up there gossiping. Do you think she just want to be with him because she want to remain? I think so. Like, it was funny. I ain't gonna lie. It was cracking me up the way they were talking to each other. I ain't even gonna lie. It was funny, but I'm just like, y'all are not marriage counselors. They were all up in Binh and Morgan's relationship, which we're going to get to, but then turn around and they're having a very similar issue that I'm glad that Miguel called out. Miguel said he's catering to your every need, but what are you doing in return? She kind of gave a very generic answer. Like, she talks a good game, but we shall see. I still don't know if she has me fooled. Like, I'm leaning towards she's being real, but I don't know, because she was just like, you know, I know how to cater to my man. I know how to get him a drink and do this and do this and do that. But I'm talking about realistically. Like, he said he's going to take care of the dog. He said that he's gonna he said specific things he's gonna do to take the burdens off of your shoulders, but what specifically are you gonna do for him? And maybe she doesn't know yet because she hasn't lived with him. I don't know. I don't want to come down too hard on her, but I don't know. It was very generic. And then she was like, well, I do have a bag of lingerie. And it's like, girl, you don't need more than that, child. You know what? Maybe not, because Justin seemed like he's very easily satisfied. And then later on, when they got to the room, Justin broke down because he felt like Binh wasn't happy with how Morgan was treating him in their relationship. One, is very early, and two, you're crying and you have bad information. You're crying over a whole lie. That ain't even really what happened. So you sitting up here way too invested. I agree with what Alexis said. Hurting for him is not going to add any value to the situation. You can only be like a sounding board. You can give your little advice, but you can't speak for Binh. Binh has to speak up for his own self. And really, if you really knew what was going on, you really need to stay out of it, because Binh ain't even telling you the story straight. He ain't even straightened the story up to you yet. But I ain't gonna lie, I like the fact that she never shames him for crying. She always comforts him, and she always gives him, like, you know, some good advice and calms him down. And the way she treated him was very soft, and it was sweet the way she comforted him. I ain't gonna lie. But then right after it, she roasted him because he made her repeat the fact that she said, I love you. Oh, I forgot to say, at the dinner table, she said, I love you. Oh, I love this man. And, you know, Stacia and Justin were like, what, you love him? So she finally, you know, returned the favor. And I thought that was beautiful. I don't know if she actually loves this man, but she putting on a good front if she don't. You know what I'm saying? I think she might just be in love with the moment or falling in love with being in love. I think both of them are like kind of in the midst of that, but I hope she's being genuine, at least with what she thinks she feels. But anyway, right after that, he was trying to get her to say it over and over. She was like, boy, bye. She literally roasted him, said he was soft and cried way too much, and cocomelon. Well, what does cocomelon look like? Ew, I don't even know what I should have looked it up before I did this video. You know, he's giving high school nerd. Like, emotionally, he's very kind of like immature. I just hope that it doesn't come out in a like teenage boyish way. You know, like lashing out later on. I really hope that's not the case. So let's move on to Stacia and Nate. Let me start off by saying I feel like there's a lot of trauma that Stacia should have tackled before she got married to anyone. I've always thought Nate was shady from the beginning, so I don't think that he's going to be the best partner because he just is very surface level, as we're going to talk about in a minute. I just don't feel like he has any range whatsoever. But I just think, like, Stacia, you have broken down pretty much every episode, whether it was about your father or you wanting a family, or I don't know, she's broken down every episode, and it's almost been uncontrollable. And I mean, it's the same way I feel about Justin. Like, it's nothing wrong with crying, there's nothing wrong with getting emotional, but if you're like that easy to break down, you're that sensitive and things trigger you that easily, it just makes me feel like she just was not ready for this. And maybe she didn't realize she wasn't ready. You know, she creates this little TP lunch outing for them, and that was cute. Y'all, I forgot to mention that when they sat down, they were both very jumpy because they're scared of bugs. But how about he made her kill the bug? I was so over him. She likes the fact that he's not intimidated by her. That's been a problem for her in the past, and I can see that because she seems like she's very stoic and she builds a wall and she kind of hides behind that businesswoman persona. So I could definitely see that. She asked him if he's willing to do couples therapy, and he was thinking like, will you do couples therapy when there's a problem? And she's like, she more so thinks of it as educational and kind of sees it as preventative. And I actually like that thought process, especially since they're so brand new. They brand new in every way. Overall, she seems to be wanting to have intentional conversations to get to know him, and he's just very superficial and surface level, and it seems like he's just saying whatever he needs to say to get by, which is kind of like a scammer mentality. Then later on, there's a moment when Lindy, Morgan, and Stacia just meet up and talk about their relationships, and she had a moment where she was triggered by Lindy and Miguel consummating their marriage. She broke all the way down into tears because she wanted to make sure that Lindy was not pressured into being intimate, because she's been in a situation where she felt like if she didn't have sex with someone, she didn't know what was going to happen. And clearly, girl, like, that's something else that she broke down about, and clearly something she still has not dealt with. And so at first, I thought she might have been projecting because of how triggered she got. Even though she might have been projecting a little bit, she might have been triggered because of the trauma behind that. But she might have been right about Lindy. And we're going to get to them. But she might have been right, y'all. And I just couldn't believe that she shaded Justin on After Party for crying about Binh. But you were crying about Lindy. Like, you literally did the same thing, crying about Lindy's situation. Like, even though that's like a little bit more serious, but you cried over Lindy. Like, both of y'all be crying too much for it to be healthy. So once Stacia pointed that out, that's when I saw a flip with Lindy. It seemed like she went to catty mode. I do feel like Stacia was being very sincere with what she was asking, but I feel like maybe Lindy probably felt like she should have pulled her to the side, with no one else, and said that, which I could agree. Like, if you're gonna bring up something like that, something serious like that, pull me to the side alone. And also, it just felt a little reactive or retaliatory. Retaliatory. Let me stop trying to. It seemed like she was trying to get back. Okay, she basically like, oh, you gonna talk about my husband? Well, let's talk about your husband.
We've been sober for 3 years. Oh wait, excuse me. Did you just say let's talk about the husband?
Let's not talk about what you don't want to help.
Okay, got a little catty, right? She was like, well, yeah, since we're talking about husbands, well, you know, Miguel questions Nate's authenticity. You know what I'm saying? He takes pictures, all the, I don't know. He just always takes pictures. I don't know. Everything's so curated, you know. I just don't know. Like, it was more so on the messy side to me. To what do y'all think? Do y'all think that was messy? It felt a little, you know, even though it's the same vibes I was getting, but it just felt reactionary. Is that the word I was looking for? Stacia, on the other hand, she was receptive. She said she questions his intentions as well, but I could tell she was putting things in the arsenal in the back of her mind too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if y'all saw that, maybe because I'm thinking because of what happened at the end, but it just felt very like passive aggressive. So then we get to the dinner and Nate tells everybody that she's building a house from scratch and she invited him to move into her home. And I'm just like, child, he working on being a kept man, child, and it just might happen. Lindy did say, you hit the lottery. I felt like that was a little catty. I felt like that was a little, you know, jab. But Mitch said something that was hilarious. He was like, so your wife is building you a house. And you could tell Nate was almost about to feel some type of way, but then he's like, I'm not giving up my house though. He was like, you know, I'm very appreciative. When we talk about Lindy and Miguel, we'll talk about how Stacia called Miguel out, but she definitely was in defense mode when she was calling him out, and it felt like she was trying to get back, you know what I'm saying? So after the dinner, Nate and Stacia are talking, and she says she's still trying to figure out his intentions, and he was like, what? A little thrown aback. He was like, well, isn't me moving into your house a proof of commitment? And it was like, how is that committing? Like, what do you have to lose? I'm sorry, it's giving hobosexual. That's what it's giving. Her biggest fear is that he's going to run, basically, and she's not going to be enough for him. And he told her that he's falling for her. Once again, he knows exactly what to say at the right moment. And I feel like the daddy issues in her wants to believe that, but it also has her like very fearful at the same time. It's, like I said, I feel like Stacia has a lot to work through because she was crying really bad. Stacia was like bawling her eyes out at the end of this episode. And she's like, I just have a lot more deep inside. He just doesn't realize what all he's going to have to deal with. And I'm like, what is he going to have to deal with, Stacia? Like, I'm trying to figure, what is it? What's going on, girl? Like, I can't wait till we get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Lindy and Miguel. Miguel and Lindy, who revealed that they consummated their marriage. And, you know, I guess the massage worked, Miguel. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like the way he kind of pressured Lindy. Well, we'll get to that. I'm going to start with Stacia asking her if she was pressured into consummating your marriage because one minute you wanted to wait and the next minute now y'all consummating. You know what I'm saying? And I remember every like group conversation where they talked about it, he was always like, yeah, I want to do it, but she don't. And it's like, I don't know, just in a group setting, why would you say something like that? He did it in front of everybody. He did it behind closed doors. And it's kind of like he pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until you finally gave in. That's the way it looks. But in the moment, she reassured her, you know, I did it because I wanted to do it and it was beautiful and all this. I believed her until later on. But later on, it's just them two together and they're talking about their relationship. And she feels like he has so many boxes that he needs to check before he falls in love. And she feels under so much pressure to like tiptoe and walk around him because she doesn't want to turn him off, basically. She feels like he's overanalyzing all of her moves. And he told her he was going to give it his all for 8 weeks and then decide. And she's feeling some type of way because she's like, well, I'm like in it for the long haul. I'm not in it just for 2 months. Like, I want to be married to you for life, and that's the type of effort I'm putting into it, and that's the kind of effort I want you to put into it. And it's like, Miguel, why are you here? So you set up there and pushed this girl to give it up, and now you don't know whether you want to make it past the 8 weeks. Isn't the whole point of being married for life? Isn't that the whole point? Especially longer than 2 months. I mean, really? Like, I just could not understand where he was coming from. So she's telling him, I'm scared to let my guard down now because she doesn't know if he's taking it seriously as she is. And clearly he's not. So later on, when they were in front of the group, she literally threw it out in front of the group once again. Like, she confronted him with a full-on attitude. And we saw another side of Lindy. Like, she wasn't the meek little anxious Lindy she's been playing behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that's not her, but she had like a little attitude. I mean, it was some serious tension. I couldn't believe that she brought it up in front of everybody like that. And he was caught off guard too. He was trying to explain himself, but it was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And Alexis had to be like, whoo, this is an over dinner conversation. Because that was awkward. Why would she do that? Like, I don't know. I don't agree with y'all having an issue and you just throwing it out there to kind of like, I don't know, have everybody else's input. You know, that's a private conversation between y'all. That's between y'all. And then when other people do jump in, you get defensive. And so when they sat down, they circle back to this same conversation because, you know, Alexis finally admitted that she loved Justin. He was like, well, how do you know you want to be with someone forever? That's something I'm struggling with. And he doesn't know if he has forever in him, you know? And I thought she was going to eat him up again, child, but she changed her entire stance, like from a couple of hours ago, basically was agreeing with him. I was completely confused because that was literally earlier that day. The sun was up, the sun went down, and your opinion completely changed. And so that's when I started seeing where Stacia was saying, because, girl, that didn't make any sense. You just blew up on him about that in front of everybody. And so, you know, even Alexis pointed that out. Then Stacia turned around, put on her detective cap, okay? And she interrogated this man like it was the first 48, okay? She was running them questions down. Like I said, I feel like she was in defense mode because he had questioned Nate behind the scenes and Lindy had told her that. So here well, I'm about to question your man. She was like, well, I didn't really want to come for you in front of everybody, but do you even want to be married? I don't know your story. How long have you been single? Like, do you really want to be here? Like, she was running it down, child. Like, it was about to go down. It was about to go down. And then the producer sent in the mariachi band, child. Shut it all down. Everybody was like, whoo! I don't think anybody at the table was ready. I don't think anybody at the table was ready. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, Miguel don't look like he was gonna back down, and neither was Stacia. So they was finna go heads up in that thing. And I feel like it was eventually gonna be Miguel versus Nate. And so they didn't want to have one of those situations. I get it, but at the same time, I wanted to see what was gonna be said. I wanted to know his answers to these questions. Because why are you here? Why are you pressuring this woman to be intimate with you, and you don't even know if you want to be with her past the 8 weeks yet? But at the same time, I could see where Lindy and Miguel become defensive as well, because it's like, okay, you're asking me all these questions. Have you asked the scammer next to you all these questions? Okay, don't be questioning me and you ain't questioning that man over there, because he's not legit either. But this is where Lindy, like, basically full on, you know, took a stance against, you know, it's like them against the world. She made sure to reassure him, even though I know she has doubts. She was like, we're the real ones and we're taking it slow with our timing. So y'all are taking it slow with your relationship, but y'all are the only ones to have consummated yet. Okay. And then she said she's not worried about anything they have to say, but it's like, girl, you had the same concerns and you literally just called him out early that night. You know, I understand as a married couple, you give a united front, but what she said to him in his ear, it was giving a little bit of pick me. I'm sorry, because you have the same concerns. You do. And then on top of that, you know, I don't know, child. I'm a little worried for her at this point. I kind of feel like in the future, though, her and Stacia are not, I don't think they're going to go heads up and like really battle, but I think they're probably going to have this like love, hate, passive aggressive type of relationship moving forward, because both of them, my man, you can't be talking about my man, honey. Like, they was looking at each other like, okay, well, your man. Anyway, finally, let's move on to Morgan and Binh. I don't even know how to start this because it felt so random. The conversation felt random with what they were doing. So Binh started off by questioning how family oriented she is, since she has a strained relationship with her father, and he's very family oriented, and that's something that he really wanted in a partner. And it's like, just because her and her father have a strained relationship, she has a good relationship with her mother, she has her sisters, what does that have to do with anything? She can't help that her father don't want to be in her life. Like, that was stupid. And he's very judgmental. We're going to get to it, but I don't know. That's a weird reason to judge somebody on whether they're family oriented or not. Then he started expressing his concerns over her being a credit shy. See, this is where it got convoluted, because she told him in confidence, in secret, with just them two. She didn't want him to tell anybody. She told him that she is one credit shy of getting her BSN. In his mind, she meant that she is not a nurse yet. Like, she's one credit shy of being a nurse, having her nursing degree. In reality, Morgan is a nurse. She has her associate's degree, but she wants to, increase her salary. So she went back to school to get her bachelor's degree. So she's been working as a nurse. We didn't see this conversation, so I just don't know if it wasn't explained to him clearly, but he took what he heard from her and ran with it. He starts talking about, her having student loans, and, he's working towards financial freedom. She says that she plans to pay it all off herself, and she's not looking for him to spend any of his money towards her student loans. Look, what is up with these men, like judging people over student loans? Everybody didn't grow up in a family that could pay for them to go to college or get a scholarship, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people didn't have any other choice but to get student loans if they wanted to go to college. That is like, hello, capitalism. Like, we live in America. That is how that works. And y'all know how predatory student loans are. I could not understand why he was being so judgmental about it. And she, said she feels like he's closed off and not trying to be understanding. He's just very hypercritical. And he started saying, well, like, we match on a surface level, but, he started talking about his core values of family, finances, and 100% honesty, and how they're not aligning. Since he was feeling betrayed and lied to, he ran off and told Tree, aka Justin. Why do you call that man Tree? Anyway, he told Justin basically that she wasn't a nurse, when in actuality she is a nurse. She doesn't have her bachelor's just yet, and she's only one credit from getting it. Like, she's about to get it. Like, she only has to take one class. And so he ran his mouth to Justin, who told Alexis. So then he ended up confessing to her that he did that. She completely broke down. Like, she was bawling her eyes out because he completely betrayed her trust. And I don't even blame her for how emotional she got. If she got mad at him, wanted to slap him, I wouldn't even blame her for none of that. Because why are you running your mouth already? Y'all have only been there for a couple of days. Why are you running your mouth to this man about my business? Look, if he really believed that she wasn't a real nurse, I can understand feeling betrayed, but to go and run off and tell somebody else in this experiment, like, I could see if you told one of the experts, but you told Justin, like, so because both of them run their mouth. Morgan also felt betrayed because she already apologized to him about this. She felt like the matter was settled. I just felt so bad for her because he really embarrassed her over a lie. Like, your husband can't keep his mouth closed and he made you look like a whole liar. Like, I would have been more angry than crying, but I guess I could see where she's coming from with that, because your trust has been broken. Like, I automatically trusted you and you didn't deserve that trust. Then, to make matters worse, he ran back to Tree and ran his mouth again. And he's like, he wants to go deeper with her. And I get wanting to go deeper, but it's been all of 2 days. Okay. You stay running your mouth every time she tells you something that she holds close to her chest. You run your mouth about it. And you're very condescending and judgmental and seemingly uncompromising. Why would anybody want to talk to you and go deeper when you have those personality traits? I just didn't understand it. And I saw some people saying online that he acts like Johnny. And I didn't want to just associate him with Johnny because he's Asian. I didn't want to do that. But he does seem to have a little bit of Johnny in him, with how judgmental he is and just being shady, talking behind her back. I don't know. I didn't like that. So then we get to the dinner. And this is where I'm going to have to get on Morgan. Because I understand it. She worked all through the panorama. She was a nurse. So I can understand how difficult that was for her and how difficult it still can be, because we got monkeypox running around and everything. It's scary. It's a scary time. So I understand that. And so she said she is concerned about having alone time after work because she's used to being able to come home and not have anyone there, just be able to decompress by herself and basically do whatever she wants. She said she needs someone who could take care of himself because she takes care of people all day. She can't come home and take care of her husband too. I mean, that mama's boy face dropped, honey, because you know that's exactly what he's looking for in a wife. Is somebody to take his mama's place. And I get it to a certain degree, but why did you get married, girl? The whole point of being married is to cater to one another. Now, I can understand if, you know, you're doing all the cooking, the cleaning, and, you know, doing everything centered around him, but I feel like you're going to have to cater to him the same way he's going to have to cater to you. So other people at the table, you know, shared the same sentiments. Alexis was questioning her the entire time. I thought it was kind of rude. I did. I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was kind of rude because Alexis and Justin were literally gossiping right in her face. Like, she was literally trying to talk and, you know, explain herself because people were asking her questions, and literally, like, they was just like, I mean, what does she need him for? I mean, really? And then, am I wrong? Am I wrong? And he was like, no. Like, they're having full conversation. Like, does she just want a roommate? And he's like, I don't think so. Like, they're just gossiping right in front of her face. I thought that was so rude. I saw where they were coming from, but it was still rude. And so Alexis finally couldn't take it no more. She was like, well, where does Binh fit in? And he basically was like, you know, getting intimate. I could give her that. And then Miguel was like, yeah, oh yeah. You know, he was the first one to jump. Yeah, stressfully. No, really, yeah. And, you know, Morgan seemed like she was a little bit defensive because of what happened earlier, especially with Alexis and Justin jumping in, child. I would have been a little defensive too. Like, y'all are too much in my relationship. But overall, you know, I thought this was a great episode, y'all. I was all into it. I thought it was, you know, I like the fact that they're able to talk with one another and put everything out on the table. It seems like many of these couples are a little bit delusional and reality is about to hit them hard. The only couple that I feel like really has a real grasp on where their relationship is Kristen and Mitch. Like, I mean, shockingly, yeah, at least they know where each other stands. You know what I'm saying? The other ones, it's like they're living in La La Land. So we're going to see where they are when they actually move in. That looks like that's going to be interesting too. So y'all let me know what y'all feel about what I said down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.